Welcome back, it's me, Lou. Okay, so today I'm here for a unboxing video. This is not going to be a full review. I don't I don't feel comfortable doing like full Transformer reviews just because if I had to take this figure out and transform them, we'd be here forever. So at the very least, I just wanted to share the experience of at least opening the package and checking out what comes inside of the box. So if you're one of those people that you're on the fence about buying this toy or if you're just curious to see what it looks like on the inside, this video is for you. But if you want a complete, thorough review of the character and the transformation process, you might want to look elsewhere. So I apologize for that. So with that being said, let's get started. Okay, so what we have here, we have the new Transformer Studio Series. And this is Wreck-Gar. And this is how Wreck-Gar appeared in Transformers the movie, which came out in '86. I purchased this figure recently on Amazon. I just got it yesterday, and I believe I paid $31.49 before tax and before shipping. So yeah, we have the movie version, the animated movie version of Wreck-Gar. He's a very beloved character, as voiced by, I believe, Eric Idle, I think. My mind's kind of hazy right now. And if I'm wrong, just correct me. I make mistakes. So looking at the back of the box, so this figure is big screen inspired. The scale, detail, backdrop. I don't know, there's a lot of rambling on here. Like it says Junkion Dance Party, which is a scene from the movie. I don't get it. Okay, so this guy transforms in 22 steps, which we will not see because chances are it'll probably take me 5 minutes for each step, and my videos run long enough as it is. The nice thing with the Studio Series figures is that you get the cardboard insert could fold out, and you get like a nice display. Nice backdrop. So it's cool. They keep the collector in mind with a little bonus like that. I love the illustration here. If you know the artist who does this, let me know. I'd love to check them out on like their social media. Yeah, it's neat. Big fan of Wreck-Gar. When I was a kid, he was one of my favorite characters. I especially liked anytime he appeared on the normal cartoon series. For me, it was always a treat. He was kind of like a fringe character. Like, I don't think he was necessarily fully considered an Autobot. I think the Junkions are more just aligned with Autobots, but they weren't necessarily full-on Autobots, if that makes any sense. And I remember the toy commercial, too. The toy commercial was amazing. So, if I remember correctly with the toy commercial, you'd see, like, Wreck-Gar. He'd be like in his robot form, and he'd be riding another Junkion, and that Junkion would be in their motorcycle form. And then I think they would get knocked off, and then they'd swap places. It's pretty neat. And now this is where I might be wrong also, but for some reason I want to say I think he might have had a Decepticon faction badge on him. I think I might be wrong on that. If I'm wrong, just let me know. My memory's hazy. I mean, that was a commercial I saw when I was like 9 years old, and that was like, so many years ago. All right, so checking out this figure, let's at least remove this weird thing here. Get that out of the way, and get into focus. So first impression of the figure while it's in the tray. My first thought was, it's about time. It's about time that we finally got a really, really honest to God, decent rendition of Wreck-Gar. This looks amazing. Immediately, as soon as I see him, I'm playing with his nipples. His nipples are posable. Oh man, this is a great figure. Yeah, so if you've been a long-time Transformer collector, you know that Wreck-Gar is one of those figures that people have been wanting for a long time. We've gotten a bunch of Wreck-Gars over the years, but we've never gotten one that's been really close to the movie, the animated feature. There's third-party companies out there, and they do make some pretty nice Wreck-Gars. Like there's KFC, which stands for Keith's Fantasy Club. They make a third-party, non-licensed Wreck-Gar, and that one's really nice. I believe that one's called, I think it's called Crash Hog, I think. That one looks very close to the movie, the actual character model. But this one's nice. It's nice to actually get like an official Hasbro Wreck-Gar. And, you know, just looking at him up close, you know, everything's there. You know, he has the face, he has the mustache, he has the goatee. The color scheme is pretty spot on. Now, unfortunately, I don't collect too much of the Studio Series. I was on board with the Studio Series for the first few waves, but then I kind of like at a certain point, it was it was getting too much for me, and I'm like, I can't keep up with this. So I kind of opted out, and I only have just a couple of the animated feature movie Studio Series figures. So unfortunately, I don't have like Hot Rod or Rodimus or Cup or like Blur to compare the sizes with. But if it's, you know, if it'll help, this guy comes in at a Voyager size scale, and it feels much more in line with like the Voyager size that we were more accustomed to maybe like 6 years ago. Like for me, some of the newer Transformer figures, they don't always feel like they're falling in line with the proper scale that they're designated as. You know, we have the Legends, we have the Deluxe or Warrior class, we have the Ultra class, we have the Voyager class, we have the Leader class, we have the Titan class. And over the years, for some reason, it seems like some of the figures are shrinking down in size. But I can safely say that this guy feels like he's a Voyager-sized figure. And his price point kind of reflects that. You know, it's $31. But I think maybe like 5 years ago, the Voyager figures were priced at $29. So there is a price increase. But, you know, I do think it's worth it for this figure, this character specifically. The detailing's great. In terms of the articulation, like I said, this isn't a full review, so I'm kind of just judging on what I see here. His head looks like it rotates. It looks like he has a bicep swivel. I'm guessing a waist swivel. His wrists swivel also. His ankle articulation. He still retains the flame pattern on his gas tank, which looks really big. If you're not a big fan of the hollow forearms, I apologize, because here we have the hollow forearms. I'm sure someone's going to 3D print some gap fillers, so, you know, just maybe keep an eye out for that. You know, the fan community is very dedicated. You know, if there's something about a figure that's flawed, they're very quick to correct that. Okay, so on the subject of Wreck-Gar, let's take a look at some of his previous figures. And let's set this guy aside. Alright, so up first, we have the very classic and vintage original G1 figure. Alright, so unfortunately, this is not my childhood toy. My childhood toy, I think, was lost to the garbage man many years ago. I bought this one maybe 8 years ago, secondhand. I know I have his axe somewhere, and I might have his one wheel with a shield. But one of his wheels here, it's missing the tire. Chances are it was a rubber tire, and it probably, you know, over time, those kind of rubbery tires, they crack and they break off. So it's just left with the wheel. Again, this was one of my favorite toys as a kid. Even though he didn't look anything like he did in the cartoon or movie, I still loved him. I think that was one of the weird things too. Is like nowadays collectors and fans are they're so obsessed with accuracy. Like accuracy has to be right down to the T. You know, like Soundwave has to have the correct eye color or it's crap. You know what I mean? But as a kid growing up in the 80s, you know, this was Wreck-Gar. He didn't look like he looked like in the cartoon. He didn't look like what he looked like in the comic book. And, you know, I had no problem with it. His scale was very different than the other figures. Like, I believe Hot Rod only came up to his waist. And, you know, I just lived with it. It was a fun toy. But I think as collectors get older, they turn into, like, bitter old men. And they'll complain about everything. You know, if you're one of those collectors, you know, I understand where you're coming from. But at the same time, you got to remember how bad things were at some points. You know, we went for a long time without normal Transformer toys. And I think we've come a long way. You know, it's amazing that after all these years, I'm finally getting a honest to God, pretty close rendition of Wreck-Gar as he looked in the movie. You know, it's awesome. So moving past this Wreck-Gar, let's take out another Wreck-Gar. All right, here we have another Wreck-Gar. This was a very popular Wreck-Gar at the time. You know, I think for a lot of fans, we grew up on this guy, and the minute we got this guy, I think everyone went kind of ape shit, because he looked cool. He had the mustache, he had the goatee. His alt mode, his motorcycle is actually really cool looking. Even though it doesn't look exactly or anything close to like how he looked like in the cartoon, you know, it's a good approximation that's very stylized. But this figure does have its faults. I remember reading online that on some of these figures, like these rubbery pieces here, eventually they might crack. So just a word of caution, you know, just be gentle handling some of these pieces, especially over time. Everything degrades, and you know, you don't want these handlebars or these mirrors cracking off. And it's a great figure for what it is. I love the asymmetry of his feet. I love this kind of like axe weapon. You know, it kind of folds in so it could become like a wheel, and it goes out. It's really awesome. So I believe this figure belonged to maybe the Reveal the Shield line, just because it has the heat sticker on here, I think. So we have that Wreck-Gar. And then at some point in time, they gave us, this was the cool thing, at some point in time, they gave us Junkion Warriors. So we got Junkion figures, official ones. Very much like how Hasbro's re-releasing Scourge, but I think in a color repaint, and they're just labeling them as a sweep. Over here, we actually got, you know, Junkion still, like army build, which was nice. And, you know, they have a completely different head sculpt than Wreck-Gar, as you can see. The paint job's different. Accessories are the same, but there's some, you know, color differences. And that was awesome. And then, much later on, we got another Wreck-Gar, and this one was a repaint. So, I want to say this might have come with a 3-pack, or maybe a 2-pack. And it might have been an Amazon exclusive. If anyone remembers what set this came with or what it is, leave a message in the comments below. This Wreck-Gar was a re-release of this guy, but he had a metallic like rust finish, so it looked and felt a little bit more premium. And this color scheme is a little bit more in line with how he looked like in the movie, whereas this one, you know, there's some liberties taken. So yeah, this was another Wreck-Gar. And fast forward some years much later, we got the Walgreens exclusive Wreck-Gar right here. I want to say this is maybe Power of the Primes, I think. So this Wreck-Gar here, he comes with a combiner socket. So if you're into like the Combiner Wars or Power of the Primes or Return of the Titans or Titans Return, this Wreck-Gar was kind of neat because he could essentially form into an arm or leg, and you could like attach him to like Superion or like Menacer or like any of the other combiner bots that had the similar ports. And this one even included the same weapon as the older figure here, which is neat. He looks kind of weird, but I believe they used the mold from one of the Computron figures, one of the Protectobots. Oh no, not the Protectobots. One of the Technobots. Is that correct? I wasn't. I don't know. I'm rambling here, but yeah, this motorcycle mold I believe is reused from a previous figure, and I think it's from one of the Technobots. My only complaint with this figure, I think it's okay, but his head is like tiny. But the color scheme is decent. It's a decent figure for what it is. You know, it's a combiner. And I'll leave this guy here. Okay, so that kind of sums up my little short history lesson on some of the Wreck-Gar figures we got. Again, I apologize if you're looking for a full like review of this dude here. If you like what you see, buy him. I can tell you right now, he's very popular. Some of the secondary market prices I've seen for him are astronomical. So, if you could find this guy for, if you could just pay basic retail for him, get him. Otherwise, I've seen people charging upwards of like $110 for this figure, which is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Don't pay $110 for this. Just hunt around, and you might find them. It's a great looking figure, and I apologize again for not transforming him. I'm sure I'll transform him once this video's over, and it'll take me like a day because I never know what I'm doing. But it's a great figure. It's Wreck-Gar. Everyone loves Wreck-Gar. Okay, so wrapping this video up, once again, my name is Lou. Thank you so much for checking out my video. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you are a returning viewer or subscriber, thank you so much for your likes, comments, and support. I greatly appreciate it. So until my next video, be safe, take care of yourself, collect lots of toys, and most importantly, just be happy. All right, I'll see you later.